I've been fishing steelhead for a little over 23 years in Ohio and Pennsylvania and into New York. And the most productive fly throughout the years has always been a small black nymph. You can call it a black stone, maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but any small black nymph is always magic on the steelhead streams. Before you get started tying it, you need to do a little bit of prep work. I've got this ratty bunch of Flashabou here in black. I'm going to tie this pattern in black today, but really it's good in all kinds of different colors. So what you want to do is isolate, I don't know, 8, 10, 12, doesn't matter, whatever you want. Isolate a number of strands, right, like that. So what you need to do to use these so that they don't fall all over the place when you're tying is you want to make yourself a simple overhand knot in the cluster that you're using. Yeah. It's kind of challenging to do. But anyways, get yourself a little knot like that. Like that. And once you do that, you can go down here to the bottom and trim those off. Okay, you can see I got a few stragglers down here, but that doesn't really matter. So this is how you're going to make several flies with this same Flashabou wing case without having it fall all over the place and having to keep cutting off new ones. You just tie a little knot right there, like that, so you have this loose strand. So we'll set that aside. I'm starting off with the Tiemco 2457 in a size 10 with a bead. Let's put a little thread on here. I'm using Uni-Thread black and an 8/0 size. Just wind it back somewhere, into the curve like that. And then we're going to wind it back forward. You don't have to have a lot of thread here because we're going to use some adhesive to put this together solidly. So if your line's twisted up, give it a little spin. And then we're going to take this pearl braid or crystal braid or whatever you call it. Wind back just a little bit and capture the tip of that. And then we'll just wrap that down the shank to our end of our base layer and then wind all the way back. Just leave it hanging there. So this is a very important step for steelheading. They tend to shred flies, and this braided material tends to tear up easily, so we're going to get a little bit of glue on our bodkin and just drag that super glue along the back there. You don't need a lot, you just need some, because the super glue bonds to this material very well. So then we're going to wrap forward, and as I'm wrapping over that glue, that stuff locks in. Those steelhead teeth will not tear this up nearly as quickly like that. Get to the front. That off and put a couple wraps, but mostly we just need to get slightly behind the head because this is where we're going to tie in our Flashabou. So you see my Flashabou tips, because I just tied them, are kind of crazy and not all the same length, so I'm going to trim those off so they're all the same. And I'm going to put that right on top of here. Now if it's twisty, you got to untwist it again. Make a nice little loop right there on top. So obviously you want these to be on top. There you go. Then I'm going to pull those back and lock them into my material holder. Next, I've got this UV ice dub. I also tie this using various rabbit dubbings. This is just the one I'm using right now. I kind of like it. It's got that blue purpley UV stuff in there. And second only to rabbit, it does make it kind of nice and buggy. So you see, I just twisted this on there very loosely. I've slid it up because you can slide that whole plaster up and down. Just get it close to the fly, make one wrap, and now you can twist it and hold the twist. If you twist too much, you'll just make such a tight ball of dubbing that it doesn't look very buggy. So I'm only twisting a little bit so that all the fibers get locked under the thread on these wraps. And I want it to look nice and buggy. If you get too much, you can pull some off halfway, wind it back to the head. You want the cluster of it to be here, not stacked up against the head. You want differentiation between the head and the abdomen, or the thorax. This also allows you a nice, easy place to tie in at. So now we want to pick out some of this down here to make it look like little buggy legs. You know. Fish like to eat legs, apparently. Then you can comb that down a little bit before we apply any kind of cement. See there? See how it looks kind of like a little bug with the legs underneath it? Again, we're going to use our bodkin so that we can control how much glue and where we're putting it. And I'm going to pick that groove between the thorax and the head and slide my hook down to get the glue in there. That puts the glue right on the threads where you want it instead of all over the fly. To cut this off, just cut it somewhere slightly shorter than the abdomen. Ding. Like that. And there you have it. This is an incredibly simple to tie steelhead nymph that has caught more fish for me over the years than anything I have ever tied. Extremely simple. You can make these in 1 minute, so you don't mind if you snag them up and lose them, because really you can't catch fish if you don't fish like you're okay with losing the flies. You got to get down there and dredge that bottom. Not worry about the structure, worry about the fish. All right, thanks for watching and good luck on the water.